Here, we are really excited about this joint partnership with Precious Plastics. So I'm the community coordinator here at LACI, and LACI stands for Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator, and our main goal is to incubate businesses focusing on green technology and take their ideas to market. So we want to provide them with all the assets that it takes to get them there. So that's CEO mentorship. We also have the Advanced Prototyping Center, and the Advanced Prototyping Center is really awesome. The main goal is it's basically like a makerspace for startups, and it's we can take an idea and take it all through the process, and we will get a prototype. Andrew, can you?
Yeah. So prototyping. So I'm one of a team of 5. Dinah and Natalie are part of the team as well. So I manage the machine shop and welding lab. Dinah manages the wet lab and the computer lab and sewing lab. So we're growing as well, and we're trying to help companies build hardware essentially. So this one I think is very helpful, happy to support.
Yeah, so all of our equipment, we have about like $11 million worth of equipment in the Advanced Prototyping Center. Some of the stuff is you can only get access to if you're part of a university, and you won't have access to all the rooms, all the different types of labs in the Advanced Prototyping Center in one place. It's very rare. It's one of the rarest places here in LA. So I definitely want to stress that it's a really great community, and we have events like this all the time. So if you want to get plugged into that network, we have memberships that you can join. So that we have an individual membership and we have a corporate membership. Individual membership is $250 a month, and you have access to basically all the machines except for a few, and access to all the labs. With a corporate membership, it's 3 individual memberships and a hot desk membership. So yeah.
Yeah, Precious Plastics is really lucky to have this partnership because, as Marcus was kind of saying a little bit, these machines that were really the foundation of Precious Plastics and how we're building this community needs to be created at places like maker spaces or even prototyping centers like this. And to have the support of the APC and LACI, as a partner for Precious Plastics in LA, just really gives us the tools and the area to really make a lot of this stuff happen. So there'll be really, in the future, once we get this first set of machines going, I think we'll be able to make a lot of the molds for any of you guys' ideas. And so I'm going to introduce Marcus, the guy behind Precious Plastics, and put this together.
Well, thanks everyone for coming. I'm pleasantly surprised by the turnout we had. Our first one was last month. We had Brian and 3 others there, so there was just 5 of us kind of trying to build this community of people that are interested in solving plastic pollution problems and inspired by the Precious Plastic project. How many of you here are aware of Precious Plastic, have been on their website or anything like that? Okay, so it looks like about half of people. So Precious Plastic, should have jumped to that one first, is a global community. It's created by a designer out of Netherlands, and he's open sourced all these machines, the designs and everything, and there's a great online community who everyone shares improvements to them and things that they've done. And it's a sequence of 4 machines. One is a shredding machine, which prepares it to be manufactured, and then the other ones are an injection machine, an extrusion machine, and a compression machine. And they're kind of allow you to start doing prototyping with plastics. And so I created Precious Plastics Los Angeles to bring a group of people that are interested in building these machines, using parts from these machines, just helping support the community together. At this point, we don't know exactly what it's going to turn out to be. I know I want us to at least build 1 full set of machines, but ideally we get them in multiple places, schools, libraries, companies, wherever, that are accessible to the community for anyone who wants to shred plastics and build things out of those recycled plastics. So on their website, and I have copies of some of them over there, they have full detailed drawings of everything that's full open source. So I'm a mechanical engineer, so this stuff is kind of what excites me. And then they have a lot of details online about, okay, what are the different types of plastics? How do each one of them respond? So on the left, those are the recycling symbols. Probably many of you have seen the types of plastics. And then on the right, they're a little small, but what it is it's showing at each given temperature how much those plastics melt. And essentially what you do is you want to get the plastics to a right melting temperature so you can reform it and then let it cool down. You don't want it to get too hot where it's going to burn or vaporize, and it can't be too cold where it will just still be too hard to push through the machines. So the key is being able to take scrap plastics that you can get anywhere. That all of us use these daily basis, and they clog up our beaches and everything, and converting it into something that's useful, whether it be a bowl, tiles, building blocks, anything you can dream up. And we definitely encourage anyone who's a designer and creator to come up with beautiful ways to showcase this and drive awareness. And my vision is that we can create, similar to how there's a market for reclaimed woods, we can create that same sort of allure for reclaimed plastics or recycled plastics. Most of you probably filled out a little survey questionnaire to see people's interest, but if you can, if you haven't done that yet, if you could fill that out before you leave, it would just help us know kind of where we can take this. But other ways that anyone can get involved is if you're interested to help build machines, if you have space that we can build them at or put them, if you're interested to sponsor or speak at a future event, just spread awareness about recycling, or of course if you're willing to donate time or money or materials to help build some of the machines, all welcomed. So just wanted to go through just a little bit about the realities of plastics and recycling. And as I've gone into researching more about this, it was pretty eye-opening to me. From an EPA report in 2014, where they report from all the different waste streams what happens with them, only 9.5% of plastics actually get recycled. Now you can see 75% of them end up in landfill and the rest are burned. And plastics are an interesting material. They're cheap and easy to machine, but they take a really long time to decompose, and so they become what, when it goes to a landfill, that lasts a long time. And so the problems often end up in the oceans. This is a study that claims that greater than 8 million tons of plastic are entering the oceans right now per year. And by 2050, it's predicted that there's going to be more weight in plastics than there will be of fish. So it's pretty sad. And I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but most of our plastics, when it gets collected by the waste haulers, it gets some pre-sorting and then gets shipped off to China. These are getting bought in $50 to $150 a ton of these kind of mixed plastics. And starting January 1st, China's actually put a ban that they're no longer accepting plastics, or most recycled plastics. And this is kind of causing a frenzy amongst the whole world, because not only U.S. but all over has been using that. So now other countries, some of them are accepting it, like Malaysia and others, but that's not a real solution. Just thinking about it, that the value of plastics is the same reason that they create the problem, is that they are durable, that they last a long time. So with that was just kind of the brief intro that I wanted to cover. Real happy that we have two great presenters today. The first one's are Denise and Kayla from Made Out of What. I learned about them from Brian, who spoke earlier. He had told me about a art installation that they had here in Chinatown last month, and went out and was real inspired by their work, and they'll talk more about it, of how people are using reused and recycled materials to create beautiful art objects. So I'll turn it over to you.
First, I want to thank LACI, which is an awesome place. I'm so happy to know about it. I can't wait to tell everybody. And thank you, Brian and Marcus, also, for having this wonderful meetup with all these fabulous people. Thank you also, Marcus, for taking care of all of the statistics. It takes one page off of my talk. So anyway, what I wanted to say is that the mission of Made Out of What is to raise awareness of our addiction to the worldwide problem of consumer waste, and to accelerate the arrival of the worldwide circular economy, economic model. Our aim is to posit positive solutions by sharing and celebrating specific and empowering efforts being undertaken now and throughout the world. So thankfully, in our hyper-connected world, this task is simplified. Dave Hackens of Precious Plastics is one of the important examples of this sort of effort and work. So there are ideas and efforts being implemented and telegraphed around the globe, from individual artists and designers to collectives utilizing traditional skills, to new industrial processes, creating a growing undercurrent of practical activism, arising everywhere on scales big and small. We'll begin by showing some of our favorite sort of things, sort of visionaries, committed artists and designers who are doing this sort of work. Their endeavors and the attention they are getting from consumers of all economic strata testify to the reach an individual solution can have to change the minds about consumer waste. Our tagline is design stories from the circular economy. And so tonight we're going to select a few of our favorite practitioners and innovators from around the world.
So I'm going to talk first about Laura Stefani, who is an artist in Italy. She lives in Padova, which is a very small town, and she is a real believer in plastic. She is in love with plastic. She, as you can see, there's some bottles in the corner there. She collects bottles from all over the world and has her friends collect them, and she describes them as her treasures. When I was in her studio this year, she opened up that's one of her things as well. She opened up a cupboard and said, "These are the most precious things that I have," because of the incredible color and the durability. And so she has figured out ways to work with the plastic to make jewels, actually. She makes really, really gorgeous jewelry by cutting and weaving together tiny, tiny strands. She uses a manicure scissor, actually. And she's able to make these really fun, bright creations that are completely durable. You put them in your suitcase, you knock them down, they're fine. And she started working with a silversmith as well to try to elevate also the idea of trash as, a jewel instead of just an object.
So I'm going to tell you about Stuart Haygarth, who is a British artist rising to fame as a designer, principally of chandeliers and installations of discarded items. He has been active since 2004, combing the plastic strewn shores of Kent, collecting detritus. He finds beauty in it, sorting it out, sorting it into colors and color arrangements. He is known for making unique chandeliers of astonishing beauty. He imbues consumer items from discarded eyeglass lenses to broken taillights with poetic allure. His visual narratives of trash are considered cutting-edge style and fetch high prices. This huge chandelier was commissioned by the University College London Hospital. His work has been on display in many other public spaces over the years, like Selfridges and Haunch of Venison Gallery. He, like Laura Stefani and other artists, designers, are doing the work of destigmatizing the notion of waste and revaluing it with their inspirations.
So this next artist here is Bordalo Segundo, and he is from Portugal, Lisbon actually, and he got his start as a graffiti artist in and out of jail for most of his life. He's 27 now, and then suddenly one day he realized that he wanted to do something about the fact that animals' habitats were being destroyed by plastic. He's a huge lover of animals, so he started making sculptures out of the very things that was killing off the animals in their habitats, and now he's flown all over the world to make giant installations. He just got done with one in Basel, for Miami Basel. He has one in Vegas, he has one in Tahiti, he has one in Sweden. I met him in Berlin. He's really global and people love him. They're getting the idea that trash is a huge problem. And he's quite clever because he's decided that fuzzy animals are the way to bring people in, which, who doesn't love to look at fuzzy animals?
Okay, so founded in 2012, Studio Swine, an acronym for Super Wide Interdisciplinary New Explorations, is a London-based collaborative effort of artist Alexander Groves and Japanese architect Azusa Murakami. Their mission is to identify problems of waste no matter where in the world it catches their attention, whether in a far-off continent or on the open sea. Their MO, like Hacken's, is to conduct hands-on research, working out accessible, empowering methodologies in situ, which they share through short films and open source instructions. Here they address the problem of ocean plastic. Creating works that span across disciplines, Studio Swine explores themes of a regional identity and the future of resources in the context of globalization. Their work manifests a deep research into the materials and modern industrialization. Studio Swine's films have received awards at Cannes and other film festivals around the world, and their works have been widely exhibited at institutions such as the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, Pompidou in Paris, and the Venice Art Biennale. This is one of their first, the ocean plastic is one of their first projects where they went to the most polluted beach in England, collected plastic, sorted it. They used an ordinary garden chipper to break down the plastic. They made their own scrap metal furnace fueled by algae and driftwood, and melted down simple molds and made stools, a series of stools.
So this is a wonderful project, and I was fortunate enough to meet the woman who started it, Faiza Hajjaj, and this is her partner Jamal, and it takes place in Morocco, where it's a women's collective, and they take plastic bags that they find in Domergue, which is actually means plastic village in Berber, and they collect all the plastic bags and they weave them together using the historical techniques of the Berber people, and you can see in this photo that you can recognize sort of that way of weaving from the big straw baskets that they use and can be found throughout Africa actually. We had some of these at our exhibit and they sold out on the first night, so it's always really exciting to find products that are valuable and that are bringing in money for these women who are working together through their normal schedule. You know, they still have to cook and clean and do the sort of normal household things that is expected of women in Morocco, but in their downtime, when they have 2 minutes, they sit and they weave a little bit, or they bring it with them to their friend's house and they sit and chat. And the one woman in the beginning, Jamal, was able to build a house for herself and send her daughter to school. So this is a real practical, huge project that is making an impact. They also have a side branch that not only do they teach the methods, but they teach the women how to read and write Arabic, which actually most of them still aren't so good. So the way they communicate is through WhatsApp message voice, which is, I thought, kind of an interesting way, because she lives in Paris and, you know, they do that way. But it's always wonderful to see a group of people coming together to make something happen for a community.
So Heath Nash is a South African designer with a passion for reusing and recycling. He lives in Cape Town. He employs local craftsmen to execute his designs for pendant lamps out of recycled plastic bottles. The wire work involved in making the lamps happens to be, luckily for him, a local skill. He calls his line of flower lamps other people's rubbish. The project was intended as a form of uplift for South Africans in desperate need of jobs, and was a way of promoting the idea of reuse and environmental awareness. From starting in his own backyard, Nash's enterprise now takes orders from all over the world, and a separate concern collects, cleans, cuts, and folds the material, while more and more craftsmen are being involved in the assembly.
What the lamps look like. Sorry, I was a bit late on my
His
cue.
is a success story. In 2006, 2007, he won the British Council title of South African Creative Entrepreneur of the Year. So this is one of my big heroes, Dr. Singh Indrachuto, who's pretty amazing. With a bachelor and master's degrees from Washington University in architecture and construction management, and a PhD in design technology from MIT. Designer, architect, educator, researcher, and entrepreneur, Singh Indrachuto of Bangkok has single-handedly raised awareness and revolutionized thinking about waste of all sorts in his native Thailand since returning there in 2003. In that time, starting out as a green architect, he became aware of the waste even in construction, even in green construction production and construction, and founded Osisu, the now leading eco design company of Thailand, utilizing building scraps and all sorts of other manner of scraps that he came across. Those are buttons of those. Okay, so let's see. He teaches still at Katzad's Art University Architecture in Bangkok, and started Scrap Lab, where he takes great pride in teaching eco-design and environmental responsibility and energy saving to his students. He is happy to see the change in his students' approaches. In his designs, he uses all forms of waste stream, as I said, from used sandpapers to shredded milk and juice boxes to button scraps from Thailand's huge fashion industry. He says, "The biggest part of what I do is to explore creatively, explore and play. Teamwork is the key to my accomplishments." He is too modest. His pioneering efforts have succeeded in making real inroads toward a circular economic ethos in everything from construction, automotive parts manufacturing, furniture, plastics, and textiles. He has visited over 50 industries in Thailand that just take their waste to recycling, and coached them, studied their waste streams, analyzed their waste streams, come up with designs for them to make out of their waste streams. That if they can't do it, then he'll do it through his Osisu. But they make more money. They save the ecosystem with these practices. He's done things like work with a national sort of coffee company, their version of Starbucks, and made tiles and countertops out of coffee waste, for example. That's that's in their coffee shops. So anyway, in 2013 and 14, he was named Design Innovation Ambassador for Thailand's National Innovation Agency, and is a member of the advisory committee for Thailand's Creative Economy Agency. The list is longer, but he also lectures widely all over the world, Asia, Europe, and the United States. These are just some of the people that we love, and
We have Bioplast as well.
Oh, sorry, we have one more.
Okay. We have one more example here, which I think is quite interesting. It kind of models the precious plastic machinery almost exactly. There's a shredder and a compactor, not quite the same because it doesn't melt them fully. They use superheated water and compression to make these bricks, which can then be stacked and thrown. There's a rebar that goes down through them, and then wire mesh, and then on top of that goes cement. And they can be used as walls, or they can be used as emergency structures, because this whole system was designed by Peter Lewis, and he made it just like Dave Hackins did, so it can be in a shipping container and be shipped all over the world. So if there's a huge disaster and people need homes, or people just need homes, we can utilize something like this to quickly take the trash that's littered around, like Dave Hackins, same idea, and turn it into actual viable building material. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't have to be sorted and it doesn't have to be cleaned. It's any kind of trash or any kind of plastic put in. Or if you want to do any sort of collaborations or any new ideas, we're always looking for new inspiration and new partnerships that we can spread the word.
Thank you.
I stole your gadget.
I'll take it. Thank you, Denise and Kayla. Everything there is so inspiring. Like, I hope that some of my creations can make it into something they'll feature, and certainly this community, that if we can, definitely be a goal for me, is if out of the machines that we build, that it could be something that made out of what wants to feature for their global audience. So now we'll turn it over to Brian, who, thank you for getting us connected with LACI to allow us to have this event here. Brian and I have met, 4 times now over the past month, just been kind of brainstorming a lot of stuff, what we could do with precious plastics and working together. And so he has both founded Bioplastic Recycling and then was a founding partner of Repurpose Compostables, who both work here out of LACI. And Bioplastic Recycling, he'll share a lot more, but it's been real interesting to me because that's a non-petroleum based, renewable resource, I believe corn, right? Corn-based plastic that is both recyclable and compostable, and ideally can run through the precious plastics machine as well. So turn it over.
All right, thanks for coming out, you guys. I've been really passionate about precious plastics for a while. I remember sending an email to Camilo probably around March and was like, wow, this is the best thing ever. Let's start a recycling company behind this. I come from the bioplastic industry, so about, say roughly around 8 years ago, I worked with some of my business partners, Lauren and Corey, to start a company called Repurpose. We started realizing that there are new advanced bioplastics out there that can be more recyclable, compostable, and they're made from plants. So they really, at that time when we were launching around 2010, oil was such a big issue in the world. So we launched Repurpose, and right now we're the #1 retail growing company in the country. We're around, available around 6,000 stores, thanks to Gwen and Brittany back there. They're our awesome sales team for Repurpose. But as I continue building that company, I realized that there's this new advanced material is actually growing too fast. As it's become introduced, people want to use it, but there's not a proper waste and recycling solutions for it. So you guys heard a lot of numbers so far, but about only 14% of plastics produced right now in our world gets recycled. This is a good quote. Economics is what determines recyclability. Not a material is recycled only if one can make money collecting, storing, and recycling. So you know that lovely, recycling symbol that's on most bags and says please. Ellen MacArthur Foundation has really brought a lot of facts from Europe to show like the realities of recycling and what it's doing to our economies. And so we're really supportive and part of the circular economy movement right now. And how we do this. So really, we've come from we're taking many partners throughout the whole bioplastic industry and launching their first recycling program. So we're working with people that make bioplastics. We're working with people that do R&D and compound those bioplastics into formulations that are possible to be used. And then we're also working with over 25 different bioplastic manufacturers that have agreed to say, hey, let's work and launch these products. Repurpose is working with us to get ready to launch some of these biggest products into the market, and through our sales channels, we have the ability to really bring this to market. We've also partnered with some recycling facilities locally in Los Angeles, and luckily they are the ones that developed some of the PLA sorting technology. So this really creates the loop that we've partnered with. Technology we really created is technology to recycle and then create formulations of how to make these resins even better. And so this is kind of the process of how we really do this. When we take recycling, if you guys saw, across the street, there's no value. It's garbage. It's garbage. So we collect it, we sort it, and then we shred it. So that's what you guys saw. After that, it becomes sorted PLA. We can either sell that to other people that can use the PLA as PLA, or we continue to remove more contaminants, clean it better, and then we pelletize it with our technology. What we have is recycled PLA, which is comparable to virgin PLA. If you're not using that PLA for food safe products, then we are a great alternative and a much cheaper solution. Because we're using recycled resin, then we really close the gap with traditional plastics and us. And so there's no reason why people can keep saying, hey, do you want to use traditional plastics? It's cheap. We're creating better plastics at a cheaper price to really introduce that into them. We do multiple tests, so we can test, we recompound it into better formulas, and then we test again. This resin is about 20% recycled cups, actually 30% recycled cups, and then we compound that with some other formulations into this, and then we're able to make compostable garbage bags out of this. So this is made from actual recycled cups. These are the resins that we make. Basically, I just told you guys about. And these are the products we're launching to market this month. We have pet waste bags, we have sunglasses, we have seedling trays, and we're actually pretty excited about this last product. It's not the greatest picture, but you guys, since Amazon and all those industries are such growing industries right now, you guys get all those air bags and things like that. Currently, to the best of my knowledge, they come all shipped with air in them to warehouses, and we've developed technology to basically create them out of our films, and we have the patterns of the air that need to get filled in, and we're going to be selling machines to each e-commerce center where they deliver stuff and they can fill our resins and make those air packages on site and not have to ship air anymore. All of our materials are certified to be compostable and recyclable, so that makes sure that people have numerous waste options. And also thinking that there's a way to be able to let people open those bags and reuse them as food waste bags for their compost and food collection, then that would be pretty amazing too. Put that all together. Thank you. That's my presentation, and thanks for coming out. Bring it here locally, Los Angeles. Mayor Garcetti has a very ambitious goal of creating jobs and recreating material, recycling it locally. And we want to do it here in Los Angeles and really show how we can recreate value and relaunch local manufacturing in Los Angeles. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But that's Taiwan. Yeah, our pilot plan, our partners are in Taiwan.
Well, I thought we could just wrap up of bringing all the speakers out, and just if anyone has questions. I mean, we really want this to be kind of a ongoing dialogue of problems people think we have that could be solved, how we could work together. Anyone who has anything. So just if anyone wants to start, feel free to ask us a question.
In terms of making products with like reused plastics, you talk about like mixing plastics or having a stream of like the same bottle or something. Like, how do you actually go about choosing what you're going to recycle?
Well, I mean, I think it really, from precious plastics to my recycling, it really, you have to sort it and collect it and get it back to, the original materials. So that's, the main, biggest thing is you have to find out how to get it back to that point. So from the precious plastics, I would say, we clean it first and then we collect it and shred it, and then you get to figure out what you can make out of that. And from our materials, we go after the things we know how to, remanufacture. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think it's like changing.
If you had an idea for a product, how would you target the materials?
I think kind of also like what you're trying to make, right? So there is a lot right now in terms of like what plastics and what their characteristics in. So PP plastics probably can do higher heat. PS plastics are easily to melt down, but they're not higher heat, materials. So I think also accessibility to what you're trying to do. But yeah, it's case by case. It's really what you're trying to make, and then what you're able to source as materials. But a lot of it is really based off of how much cleaning and sorting you have to do. You can eliminate those parts and get maybe like pre-consumer production straight from factories. That's a lot easier to clean, and you have to cut out that whole step.
Yeah, so that's like a big question I have is like, how can we attempt to change behavior where right now everyone just has one recycle bin, everything, paper, plastic, glass, any type of plastic. There might be food waste on all those things go in there, and it's got to get sorted. And pretty much there is some automated sorting machines, but there's a lot of hand sorting, and usually those materials turn out to be like B-rate materials because they're never as pure as the original stocks. So, like, one thing I was thinking is once we have these machines ready, we'll say, okay, for the next meetup, everyone bring polypropylene bottles and clean them, beforehand. So then we know that all those are going to be cleaned ahead of time. And so then can you think about ways that you could engage with businesses or communities so that they will come to be, sorting it so that the ones that are valuable or usable to be recycled could be sorted. Because for me, like I went on the website of the sanitation and tried to look up like could I put a plastic bag into our garbage can in Venice, and I couldn't figure it out. That's a big problem, is that people don't know what you can and can't. And ideally, you would have like 20 different small bins, and each individual would sort it, and that's what would get collected by the waste haulers. But that's not going to happen. So how do you do that? And I know